The following program is brought to you with limited commercial interruption.
Today's broadcast is being simulcast in broken English.
I'm here to show the world. I'm here to show the world.
Welcome to the show that we're doing right now.
What the hell are we doing on this show?
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
It jumped up a notch.
It did, didn't it?
Let's go.
What is this?
Giggity, 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 goo.
Who else but
The Q.
It's showtime! Gentlemen, let's get down to business.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Yeah, I can dig it, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Q. Now, you're listening to the best pop culture, current events, current affairs show east or west of that Mississippi River, hailing from the great city of St. Louis and worldwide at theqnow.com. I am your host, Mark Bland. Welcome to the show today. Joining me, as usual, is my co-host who's trying to get here, and he's finally made it. Welcome to the show, Jay.
Hello, sir.
How are you?
Fantastic.
You're doing good?
I am doing good.
Everything's going well in your life?
Fantastic.
All right, that's good. That's all I wanted to know.
Right.
I just had a couple questions. They're no big deal. Welcome to the demise of democracy, ladies and gentlemen. This week we will discuss the new appointees on the Trump team. Moshe Kopolow is here to talk with the continuing weirdness coming from this new administration. He's going to talk about that with us, and we're excited to have him here. Plus, we might discuss a little Ukraine and maybe even a little Israel tonight on this show. It could be exciting. It could go a lot of different places, ladies and gentlemen. So welcome to the show. First up, without any further ado, please let me bring in my friend Moshe Kopolow. What's up, Moshe?
How's it going?
How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you, Mark?
Talking to that microphone. Don't be afraid. You got to talk right into it.
It's
not like a phone just sitting on the ground in front of you. You gotta speak into that.
nice.
I know. I'm used to doing my radio on a phone. This is a new experience for me.
You're used to doing things in a different format and way.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? That's what you're doing. Okay? And now you're here with us. Now you're here in the big dog game. You're playing with us. You're having a good time. This is live on a Fox News affiliate from the Gateway Fiber Studios of Fox News KYRO. We have Moshe in the house. Now, Moshe, people might or might not know about you and your involvement with our show in the past or anything else. So let's give people a little refresher course real quick. You are a host yourself of a very popular show that is online, correct?
I spent 2 years as a host of a popular show. The show that I was part of, that's now passed. I go live once a week on Monday nights on Twitter. I'm one of many people who hosts Twitter on Twitter. Radio there is called Spaces.
Right.
And yes, and that was, and I got involved with that because I was actually supporting pro-Ukraine efforts and getting news and information and analysis out to the world in the English language for pro-Ukraine, which is a place that not a lot of us knew about before the full-scale invasion.
Sure. No, and I understand that completely. Like, I understand where you're coming from with that. And you know what? Like I said, sometimes in life we fall into these situations, and I understand that. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you searched it out. It's very possible. But that's kind of where you come into our world. That's why I wanted to bring that up, because that's how me and you met. Technically, yep. we were friends of another friend, and because of social media stuff that I would do and you would do, he was like, yo, you guys need to get together and talk. And that's what happened. Because of social media stuff.
We should have brought him here today. That would have been more fun.
We could have brought Chucky here. We could. He's been on the show before.
I know.
We love Chuck. Now, Moshe, it's not a secret that Donald Trump won the presidency of the United States of America, sir.
That's not a secret?
That is not a secret.
People know that?
People know that.
Apparently
today.
It's well known.
It's very well known right now.
Yeah.
A lot of people know this. Moshe, where do you stand on our friend Donald Trump winning the election of 2024? Before we get into other topics and discussions. Not in a negative way. Like, you can just be honest and be like, hey, I disagree with the guy. I don't like him. Or, yes, I think he was great. Whatever.
Two things. Regardless of my agreement or not, he's our president now. He won every swing state. He won the popular vote. He's up.
Oh, Jay. Jay,
Yes.
you did throw a little piece of information out towards me before we
I
got on
need
the
to
air,
look
and
it up.
I found it interesting.
Yes.
If it's even close to true.
That I was told that the California vote is slowly finally coming in, a lot of those House seats, but also presidential totals, and that she's catching up a little bit in the popular vote. But it appears he still might win it.
Wouldn't that be hilarious if she turned around and was able, when it's all said and done, the counts were done, she won the popular vote by like 100 votes
find out.
total for the whole country.
Total aside, can someone explain to me how our most tech-centered state, the center of Silicon Valley, can't count votes by now? Like every other state,
Right.
like New Hampshire and Vermont were done in an hour or something crazy.
Moshe, let me
Well, they all had to be in bed by like 7:30.
Moshe,
so, like,
I don't know if
How do they mess that up so bad in California?
well,
guys,
if I
count
could,
the votes.
If I could be so bold as to put something else out on the table first, okay? And that would be that a very astute politician once said, and I listened to them very closely when they said, you can't announce the winner of the presidential election on the news the night that it happens. Like that's not you've got to be able to count votes for days and weeks on end, and only then could you possibly announce who the winner of a presidential election was. And weirdly, in this one, by midnight, they had already announced that Donald Trump had won the presidency of the United States. Wild.
Clean sweep.
Absolutely wild. I didn't know that they could do that in one night because Donald Trump is the guy who told me in 2020 you have to account for weeks and you can't do it in one night. And a news station definitely can't announce who the winner is. That's not legal and it doesn't make sense and the world is confused. And now here we sit, guys. Every accusation has been an admission of guilt.
Oh, every
It has
time.
been our
Every
favorite saying on this show since 2017. We have been saying it nonstop for 7 straight years. Now going to be 8 next year. Every accusation is an admission of guilt.
Yes.
So, good example. I hate pedophiles. I think pedophiles are horrible. I think pedophiles should be killed. I don't think pedophiles should exist in our society. And yes, I voted for Donald Trump. Perfect. Great.
Yeah, 6 weeks later.
Matt Gaetz. 6 weeks later, Matt Gaetz is appointed potentially as your attorney general a week later. I'm sorry, 2 weeks later, right? After the vote, a week and a half. He is announced as possibly going to be your attorney general, and he was literally
Our. We're all Americans. He'll be all about.
Literally was being investigated while this was going on.
Yeah, still is.
In Congress. No, not anymore
Congress-
because he's already resigned. The investigation's
No,
over.
I thought I saw they said they were still going to continue.
Oh, sure. They're going to do a lot
But
of things
yeah, I mean,
until
right now
they
it's-
get in. Okay.
But no, what I was saying before, when you were saying I hate pedophiles, blah 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 blah, I was saying that's a Trump voter or a Republican in general, or someone who looks down on others. Who then 6 weeks later you find out so-and-so who famously said they hate pedophiles has been arrested on like 40 counts of child porn. It happens all the time.
Accusation is an admission of guilt.
Right? It's always a pastor
if it's about,
or a reverend.
Hey, Moshe, if it's about using lawfare to take down your political opponents, it's a bad thing. And you must stand out on the 5th Street in New York, across the street from all the reporters at all of your 34 felony account of conviction court cases and scream at them how lawfare is being used and you would never do that and those are bad people and that's why you shouldn't vote for any of them. To turn around and the first thing you do is talk about how you're going to go after all your political opponents and do the lawfare thing. Remember, it's an accusation, so it's an admission of guilt.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it too.
You took those documents home.
If I say that you did it,
You sold them.
Definitely doing it and going to do it now.
Look, the thing about the reason I brought up the popular vote. Look, at present, if you don't count California,
less than 3 million. He's up by less than 3 million.
But my point is still
now.
on the popular vote.
Yeah, no, he's going to win. He's going to
These are neighbors who voted for this. And look, we actually really need the Republicans because they're definitely not listening to people who didn't vote for Donald Trump, right? They're only going to listen to people who are on that team. Need to go like, hey, look, let's not put somebody with a whole lot of pedophilia allegations and underage prostitute allegations as our head lawyer in the country.
Sure.
Maybe that should be our head of country.
Yeah.
We actually need the Republicans to push back on that, right? We actually are looking to them now, be like, guys, Donald Trump can pick anybody. He has every kind of Trumpy choice he wants. Anyone in America qualified for any cabinet job says yes every time, right? He can pick anybody he wants. So guys, find your ultra partisan red hat flag MAGA wearing guy who just doesn't do that. And you have lots of good choices. So my comment is, guys, like, please just, go pick out somebody, because there might be so much pushback from his own team that maybe Matt Gaetz gets withdrawn. I remember the first Trump administration where he fired Chris Christie before he got in, right? Like, there could be turnover between now and January 20th when he's president. So my comment is, we actually need to look to our Republican friends and be like, guys, please get your Trump hat wearing MAGA loving guy who just isn't a pedophile as the head of the DOJ. Can we do that?
That's fair. Nope. I like your ask of the people. That's fair. Because we're talking about some of this appointment stuff, let me get into my first topic here, and then we can move it into the next segment too and talk more about all this fun stuff. In Washington, President-elect Donald Trump is raising eyebrows with his bold and unconventional cabinet selections, signaling a dramatic shakeup of the nation's capital. Among the most controversial picks are Congressman Matt Gaetz for Attorney General, Pete Hegseth, a Fox News host and Army National Guard veteran. National Guard. Not even... Never mind.
It was a major in it
stop.
as well. Not even a general.
A major for the Army National Guard. Now, no disrespect to any of our National Guardsmen whatsoever or having a position of that. I'm sorry. I feel like when I'm thinking of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and the people that make the real decisions at the top, it's a 4-star general, not some dude from the Army National Guard that only made major. That's how I view that as an American in America.
Doesn't he have some like Nazi slogan or white nationalism
might even have
slogan
like
tattooed on him?
He has Crusader slogans tattooed on him.
Doesn't he also have like a 3%er logo or something?
He has a Jerusalem cross, and it says Deus Vult, which was the rallying cry in Italian of the Crusaders who, on their way to fight for the Holy Land from Islam, killed a third of the Jews in Europe just on their way.
Let's put that guy in charge of the military. That's a great idea.
He's also, he has a lot of very extreme ideas.
Right.
My comment on this guy.
He got some chick pregnant.
We got so many of these guys. My comment on
no,
that.
I got a whole bunch of guys. Let me finish this.
Okay.
And then I'm going to come to you about your guys. So here, write it down. Put it as a little pin in that right there. You got a little piece of paper. You put a little pin in that right there on the back of that. Pete Hegseth, former Army National Guard veteran for Secretary of Defense, and former Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard, known for her pro-Russia views, as Director of National Intelligence. Really smart. Critics argue these appointments prioritize loyalty over qualifications. Gaetz, under investigation for alleged misconduct, may face an uphill battle for confirmation. Even within the Republican Party, there's skepticism. Senator Lisa Murkowski called Hegseth's nomination interesting, while Senator Bill Cassidy implied, who? He just asked who. Adding to the drama, Trump is calling for recess appointments to bypass Senate approval. The move, while potentially effective, contradicts Republican opposition to the practice during the Obama years. Every accusation is an admission of guilt,
you guys were doing
creating tension within the party. Meanwhile, Trump has tapped Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy to lead a new Department of Government Efficiency, which, by the way, those letters spell Doge,
right? Again, crypto bros.
Because it's all about being
ruin the world.
edgy and cool and stupid. Their initiatives, including an online suggestion box and cryptocurrency branding, have been met with skepticism. As Trump prepares to take office, his strategy seems clear. Rewrite the rules, challenge the norms, and reshape the government in your own terms. But the path forward is far from smooth. And I agree. I agree that this path forward is far from smooth. You were talking about Pete Hegseth. Before I stopped you there.
He has interesting tattoos that could be taken many different ways.
The big question on Hegseth is how's the military going to take it? So Hegseth, I believe he's on his third wife. He apparently in the this is
that's religious, so don't worry about that.
I'm a
hey, listen,
man.
I'm just going to keep it even.
I've got no problem with the fact the man's married 3 times, fine. But the fact that he has publicly cheated, came out that he cheated. Like his third wife was pregnant while he was still married to the second wife.
They don't care.
The military does care. That is against the WCMJ. Conservative military men might care about that. That's on them. I'm curious how that will.
But they voted for him.
You know what? They didn't vote for Pete Hegseth. They voted for Donald Trump. Again, if Donald Trump wants to call up Pompeo back, if he wants to get Mad Dog Mattis back, if he wants to get any even more flag-bearing, very pro-Trumpy people in there who say just didn't cheat on their second wife with their now third wife. Like they didn't impregnate somebody else while married. He could find that person.
Don't have nationalism tattoos.
Like that's right. Like there's a lot of choices. He could choose somebody who just has an American flag tattoo.
If you're a female, that's getting ready to date Barron Trump, you should probably look at that situation and run as fast as you can. Not because
never be alone.
Listen, I understand his dad's the president. I understand he might be rich and powerful, and you might even think he's a good-looking dude. But here's the problem: he comes from a family that's been a broken home 3 times in a row. Okay? On top of that, they don't care. They literally don't care in his world how broken the homes are.
No,
they don't care.
no, that's
So
true.
literally, you're just walking yourself into a problem with your marriage down the road. And by the way, that's going to happen with Eric and Don Jr. and all them too once they start going down. Listen, guys, all right, I got to take a break. I've got to take a quick break, and when we come back here on this show, we'll be back. We're going to be talking more about this stuff, so we'll be back on the show right after this. 105.3 FM, 1280 AM KYRO. Welcome back to the Qnow. Mark Bland, Moshe Kopolow, our guest, Jason Call over there, hanging out, and we're discussing Donald Trump's somewhat controversial appointments to his cabinet and to his administration that he is already announcing in the first.
Just more crap we knew was going to happen.
Real quick.
Yes, yeah. Oh, okay, Moshe. Yeah, what's up?
Your last comment.
Yeah. About going to break?
No, about the Trump kids. Look, we judge everybody on their own merits here in the U.S. Just because your parents, just because your father was famously cheating on his wife with a porn star, right, does not mean you're going to do the same. Ivanka and Jared are still married, I assume happily. I'm not going to comment on any of their marriages. You know what? They're all their own people.
Yeah, they're fine.
And I'm going to judge them on their own actions. All I know about Barron is he's a young guy going to college.
Sure.
I have no problem with that.
Sure. Nobody has any problems with that.
I've always sort of held, we always treat you on your own actions, and I feel taking up with somebody's kids out of bounds, just personally. Like I'm not.
Of course, nobody's taking it up with his kids. We said the girls. We were like, hey, if you're a girl who is looking at this situation objectively from the outside, do your thing. Do your thing.
Hey, I'm just saying.
I'm the older boys.
You want to blast his appointments? Those are the people and choices. That's what I'm down for. I'm down to judge people on their own actions. As far as I know, Barron is just a guy going to college who has a very famous family. That's all I know about the guy. That's all we should say about the guy.
Two older boys, though, they deserve it.
But yet again,
they bring it on themselves.
Hold on.
Don Jr. is taking a lot of actions you can fire about.
All right, so check this out. Here's the deal. Basically, the situation, the way it works out in my book in this situation is we didn't say anything about Barron himself being a bad person. We said that he had a family that had multiple marriages that was broken family. That's true. That's not information that is not public. That's not information that isn't true.
Like
those are all families that existed at one point. They are broken now, and there have been 3 in a row. Now, that's true. And then we didn't say anything about Barron or any of the kids or anything like that. We brought up the fact that if there was someone looking into that situation from their end, moving forward, they should be careful. That's what we said to them.
You can put it like this. You can say, I'm not saying he's a werewolf. I'm just saying everyone in his family are werewolves.
Okay.
So you can go there. I've never seen him be a werewolf, but everyone else is a werewolf.
Well, no, I understand what Moshe is saying because
I get it. He's fine.
And that's fair. That's fair. He's like, hey, don't take shots at people that aren't involved in the situation. It's not a good way to go. He's right.
That's what I meant. Like,
but I also was trying to
boys,
explain to Moshe that when you break down what we said, we never said anything that was incorrect, and we never attacked anyone for who they were themselves. We said, hey, other people, watch that. That's all we said.
Yeah,
watch that. Now, let's get back to these appointments. Regardless, we've got some crazy ones here, but I have a theory.
Yes.
I have a theory. And Moshe, I do want to hear your opinion on this theory. You see, my theory is that the reason they're trying these recess appointments is because I feel like I said something to Jason in the car on the way here. I said, Elon Musk is that guy who wants to screw around with stuff and do things, but he wants to do it with other people's money.
I think he's trying to take over the world.
He doesn't want to do it with his money. And so, like, by putting him in a position with some government agency that they can funnel money to, he is allowed to get away and do what he wants. Now, he is one of multiples that are being put into these positions right now, but he's also one of the smarter ones in comparison to a Matt Gaetz, in comparison to a Lauren Boebert, and to even a Hegseth. Like, he's the smarter one. I have a feeling this dude talked to J.D. Vance. They got together being more close in age, more nostalgic with their history, their Gen X, watching Ninja Turtles in the 80s at the same time. All the cool things that they could be on the same page with Pokemon and everything.
Vance
all of
is
it.
a millennial.
Think about this. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Pokemon and everything. They could talk about all these things, okay?
What's Elon? Is Elon even 50?
But there's nothing that they have in common with Donald Trump. Donald Trump is from the 1950s and 60s and 70s. He's an old man. Like, he has nothing to do with them. He thinks of Frank Sinatra as the guy he wants to pal around with.
Be
and
part
Elon
of Studio
Musk,
54.
And Miss Elon Musk does not, and J.D. Vance don't care about Frank Sinatra and Studio 54. But
what? How could you not?
They might think, but they might both think that they might think
a
that
real
Lauren
thing?
Boebert is an idiot. They might both think that Matt Gaetz is a moron. They might think that some of these individuals online in their social media presence during that 4 years of Joe Biden made them look like trash and like idiots. Yeah. So why not do the recess appointments? Make it, like I said, make it look like we patted you on the back for the things we told you either in 2016 when I was president the first time, or in that 4 years leading up to this president run where we told you if we had a spot, we'd give it to you, pat you on the back. These recess appointments ain't going through. None of this is happening the way they want. This is their way to chop the idiots out of the game so they can put more Thunes and individuals like that into the positions that they want. The ones who really are in Congress Monday through Friday and are on the floor arguing with each other, defending. Lindsey Graham has a better shot than Lauren Boebert.
But talking about Boebert, the things they defend. Imagine if AOC would literally had a man's penis in her hand in a theater in public.
Yes.
I'm talking not on the pants, his flesh penis in her hand.
Listen, Jason, no, you are not allowed to talk on this show anymore, Jason. You are not allowed. You will not talk about other man's junk in the hands of other people when their junk has nothing to do with the politics or Lauren Boebert or any of the families or anything. You are not allowed to do that.
Right? Boebert's defense of that?
Oh.
What?
Boebert's defense was she should have dated a Democrat.
What? Like, what? What does that even mean?
That was her
Like,
defense. Now, apparently, it's
like,
okay to give a handy in a public theater.
Right. It's
right?
exposed.
As
like,
long as
that's
a Republican?
crazy.
Like, are you kidding me?
Like, what would
It's
they think?
wild.
Her defense
to me.
was she shouldn't have dated a Democrat. That is the craziest. Like, look.
Right.
Like this is what you expect.
But
You're like this is what you fear, but expect one of your friends, one of your kids, like high school idiot friends to do, and you're like, I'm just happy I'm not that parent. Except she's in Congress.
Right, like what? Like I said, if AOC had done that, they would be losing their minds.
Now, you know what John Shepard said to me famously
Yes.
last show when we went outside to hang out and talk in between one of their breaks? He said, you know what, Mark? Your shows are always the best. Basically what he said was something I've said in pro wrestling.
Yes.
I said in pro wrestling, some people just look better chasing the belt. Like a
Right. That's
Batista.
always been a thing,
Batista always looked better chasing
Like
the belt than holding the belt.
You make more money chasing
Right.
the belt.
So right now we're in the chase the belt mode for the next 4 years. We're chasing
that's
the belt.
gonna
We
suck.
are the ones who are in the promos. We are the ones who are the bad guys trying to get the title back from the champion.
You know
That's
what?
who we are right
So you're
now.
gonna find a heel for this because Hulk with his belt is clearly on Team Trump, full shirt, everything.
Well,
Like, who
but
are we
wait,
getting?
Hollywood Hulk Hogan was already a heel when he had his belt.
true.
So there it is.
I'm just saying who's the heel to chase the belt now?
You know,
Well, we are
got a face?
chasing the belt. We're
You got
the
a face?
face. We're a face.
You're the
one
face.
thing
We'd have to be the face. The heel won.
One thing
in
I would-
our opinion, the heel won.
I would tell people to do is start stockpiling medicine that is available
Toilet
now.
paper. Toilet paper.
But, right, medicine that's available now before RFK Jr. gets in and relaxes all rules and laws and
But relaxing
safeguards.
rules won't
And
stop
suddenly-
the medicines from being sold. It'll
No, but
open
it'll-
up more medicines that should be
No,
sold.
that's
to
what I'm
be
saying.
sold.
I'm saying stockpile them now while they're made safely.
I don't think that they're going to stop making them safely at all these plants either. Like, I don't think they're going to just come in and then fire people from all these plants and be like, 3 people, let them run it. And
what
then
did they do? They tried to make it automated. Musk tries to automate
Jay,
it.
I don't disagree with you.
First off, before we get to RFK.
Yes, please go on.
Right.
Go on.
On Musk and Vivek and the Doge.
Sure, yeah. I'd love to hear.
I would love to talk about this for a second. First off, the name is Department of Governmental Efficiency.
Yep.
It has 2 heads.
Yep.
Right.
It has
2 bosses already.
2 bosses.
Right off the bat.
It has no funding, and it doesn't yet exist. To be fair, this is already a meme joke, and they appear to be on it because they named it the Doge.
But
frankly, I can't tell if it is a joke on us or a joke on the 2 guys who are now splitting. Hey, Musk, you're so powerful. You have to split an appointment of something that doesn't exist.
What if I was
the guy nobody knew who he was 2 years ago?
What if I was to present the idea that by not having anything going on at all, they are already at the most efficient level they could possibly be as the Department of Government Efficiency? Literally, they are there, and they still failed because they have 2 bosses.
We're done,
they were
everyone.
there. They've done nothing yet. They've been super efficient, right? Nothing has changed. Nothing has moved forward.
They've not spent any government money.
No government money has been spent at all, but they still have 2 heads, which means they have to pay 2 checks to the bosses, and that is not efficient. They still failed, even though they haven't started.
I mean, so far it means it's 2 guys who the president will take their phone.
Yeah, they just
That's what
split
it's now.
$20 million.
Apparently, Elon is living basically near or in Mar-a-Lago right now. Elon,
normal, right? That's normal.
Musk is living down in Florida. He's just moved there, and he talks to President-elect Trump like every day. So right now, the Doge just means I'll take these guys' phone call, which frankly is more efficient than I want to know how Congress is going to give them a bunch of money. To go build the Department of Government Efficiency, which clearly needs to be staffed.
So I will say this. There was a lot of beating the drum of I'm worried about Donald Trump getting into office because Donald Trump might do some pretty over-the-top crazy things with his executive orders and his full immunity that the stacked court he created gave him.
Not off to a great start.
I'm going to be honest with you. You probably hear a lot of hyperbole from one side of the Ukrainian war versus the other, and hyperbole from one side of Israel and Gaza versus the other.
I don't see much hyperbole from the Ukrainian side.
My point being is hyperbole in general, and sometimes the other side really thinks that what they're saying they will do. So if a Putin comes out of nowhere and says, I really think I'm going to just roll up to the coast of Ukraine with my warships, and I think I'm just going to handle my business tomorrow. Would Moshe sit there and go, it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. This will never happen. He'll never do it. Or would you go, it's Putin. Like, dude,
he actually did roll up with his warships. He would
be willing to do things like that.
And then Ukraine sank most of his most of his navy in the Black Sea.
Right.
With drones. They don't have a navy of their own.
That's the problem. See, once again,
they sunk it with drones.
Let's not get into Ukraine yet. I want to get there, but once again, you can't beat a state the size of Georgia, and I don't mean the Georgia you want. I'm talking about in my United States, Marjorie Taylor Greene. You can't beat a state the size of Georgia, bro. You ain't taking on Germany. England. You're not taking on China or the United States at all. You are not a Cold War master. You are not even a man who has it like that. And I bet your nukes might blow up before they even get out the ground, honestly, at this point. It's pathetic what I'm seeing from Russia, honestly, in the Ukrainian war. And I know that might sound weird. I know that might not sound like very nice to Ukrainians who are in the middle of a war where they have people dying and this, that, and the other. But let's be honest, if we pulled back on this picture historically over all of these decades and centuries that all of this stuff has existed, this time period right now looks like dude talked a lot of trash with Slobodan Milosevic and everybody in the 90s and the 80s and the Cold War and all this, and now they look like punks that can't pull off nothing. That's how Russia looks right now. You look like a bunch of cold kids up in Moscow hoping that the summer's coming and waiting for when that nuke drops on your head because you ain't going anywhere. You ain't doing anything, and you definitely ain't winning no wars against small countries like Ukraine.
Well, he's stolen all their money.
It's actually a pretty big country.
He's stolen all their money.
Could Ukraine beat Belarus in a war?
Belarus? They don't have a formal army.
Bulgaria. Bulgaria.
I have no idea.
Okay.
Probably. I'm assuming they have
Ukraine
a fairly large army.
has never started a war with anybody.
What about India?
Ukraine has never started with where they went.
Of course they didn't. This was never their end. It was always from the other guy's end. That's what we've been saying.
Right.
Like sometimes there's two sides to everything, and yeah, that guy might do those things. So when it comes to a Trump coming in, talking to the Supreme Court and going, I plan on doing this, executive order that, wipe that off the board. Don't care what you have to say. You're going to back me up or else. See, that's the next thing. You know, I feel like the real next thing they're going to go after, term limits for Supreme Court justices. Now, I know that sounds like it.
Why would they do that?
They don't have term limits. Yeah, they have
right.
the Supreme Court.
But let me explain why. You see, currently, they might have a couple of people on the bench they can't get rid of because of those extended lifetime appointment aspects. So to get rid of those individuals, change the game up over here. Now I can just stack it with my people, and then I can change the rules back the way it used to be. Simple.
People who were put on the court only in these years. Oh, sorry, you two have term limits now.
I'm just saying you can write it, but my feeling is like, why would they bother? Right?
Yeah,
they're going to do stuff that really affects people. There's already full Republican control of the Supreme Court, right? The Republicans have a very clear extended majority on the court.
Sure.
So there's really, as far as if you want conservative legislation on the far right now, you can pass it, and the Supreme Court is okay with it. They will not push back. So this is not a fight they need to take, right? Even with the control of both houses and the presidency, there's only so much. Our government's not meant to pass everything. So if they're starting to mess with that, it means they're not doing all the stuff they actually really want to be doing that they've at least said they want to do. Who knows how much they want, right? Like that's the thing that like doesn't change much and could very easily backfire on them, because the moment they do that, right, like if a Democrat does get the presidency, right, like or they do lose, all of a sudden their current majority could really run itself into a lot of problems just on the randomness of term limits. So I don't think they'll touch that just because it doesn't help them right now. How does it help them at all? They've got younger people and they've got strong conservative control. If you want conservative laws, like they just have to pass legal muster by the conservative way. That is a standard. They can get it passed. So I don't know why they would touch that right now, because it could only backfire.
That's fair.
They're in the pole position. They're ahead.
Okay. I agree. I mean, I don't disagree with you whatsoever. I just presented out an option, a way for Donald Trump to take the power that he wields with immunity and walk in and change the game.
Normally,
like,
so who knows?
That was it. Like, guys, sometimes the things that benefit why we, the three of us, are good at what we do, talking politics and stuff like that, we can quickly back out of the picture. We can see the whole thing for what it's worth. And we can do that in our regular lives with how our lives work and the way people interact with us. So, like, we're able to back out of these things very quickly. And when you're looking at this Donald Trump presidency, you're seeing a lot of the every accusation is admission of guilt thing coming up right off the bat. Like, right off the bat. I'm going to start doing this and start doing that and start doing this. They've made a lot of claims over the last 2 years that they had planned on doing. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, this is the first show we've done since that show last week. And some of the shows where we talked about Project 2025, just to let you know, Newsweek put out an article this week right off the back of the election that just happened last week. And in that article, some MAGA Republicans came forward and basically said, yes, Project 2025 was the agenda the whole time.
The guy in charge of Project 2025 is going to be in the administration.
Is he?
Yeah.
Did he write the forward for the whole thing?
No, that's the other guy.
Oh, that's J.D. Vance? Oh, that's the vice president of the United States.
Like the guy in charge of Project 2025, it will be in the. I can't remember his name off the top. There's so many of these guys.
I know you're talking about.
But he's going to the administration.
Yeah,
he will have a job in the Trump administration, right? Like that is as clear this is going to be part of the plan as it gets.
Yep.
Right? Elections have consequences. When we elect this is what America is going to do for the next 4 years. And if they elect it again, if they elect a Republican again, because Trump, this will be a second term, and frankly, he'll be very old. At the end of this term, he'll be older than Biden is now, if I remember correctly.
Something like that.
Right?
Yeah, he's almost 79 right now.
So this is his second term, and he'll be a little bit too old. Like, he's not going again. So for the next 4 years, it's going to be the Trump show. Like, this is what it means when elections really matter. We vote in America. This is what we voted for.
Got to get through
now
2
we've got
years.
This and
fix this.
That's the Boebert motion. We don't need that motion. Okay, we don't no Boebert motion.
No Boebert's in the studio, bro.
No.
Like, you can't Boebert.
You're not.
Listen.
not that type.
Jason,
What was
I
it?
can't have
was
you
it a
slowly
Beetlejuice?
taking your
Is that what you
hand
had?
under the table on our Facebook feed and
Now
looking
listen,
like
everyone.
yeah, that's what
This
I'm
is
saying. You
just
can't do
insane.
that.
Two hands. Come on now.
It's 2 hands. It's 2 hands. Oh,
Two hands with a pepper grinder on the top.
I mean,
Jesus
yeah,
Christ.
you all sit in the middle. I mean, you
oh, you need one of us on each side, like
the
we're
full
like
over.
we're like
For
you
the
know what they
full
call
over.
that?
The
They
full
call
over.
they
What's
call
that
that the
called?
flying chicken.
What is that?
Flying chicken, right? All right, something like
Nobody
that.
calls it
There's
I
also how
don't.
Trump dances.
All right, here's what we're gonna do.
Those are giraffes.
We're going to take a quick break here on the show. When we come back, more with our friend Moshe. We'll be back on the Qnow right after this. 1280 AM KYRO, 105.3 FM, News Radio KYRO.com. From the Gateway Fiber Studios, this is the Qnow. I am Mark Bland, every Thursday night live 7 to 9 p.m. with you at this radio station, in your car, at your house, on your phone, wherever you're listening to us.
Wherever
Today
you
our
might
guest
be.
is Moshe Kopolow. How do you say Kopolow? Kopolow?
Second one.
Kopolow. Moshe Kopolow.
There you go.
And we've been talking about Donald Trump, and we've been talking about this new presidency, and we've been talking about all that fun. Following Trump's victory, ladies and gentlemen, there was a noticeable increase in Google searches for how to change my vote, particularly, Jason, in red states such as Iowa, Kansas, and Alabama.
Of course.
The surge occurred mainly on November 5th, the morning after the election results were announced, signaling post-election regret or confusion among some voters. Areas like Des Moines, Iowa, and Cedar Rapids saw the highest volumes of searches, suggesting that some voters in key regions were reconsidering their decisions after Trump's win, despite having voted for him.
well.
So remember, we're telling you a story
What
of
do you
how
do?
these people voted for him, and then they found out things after the fact that they're slowly going, oh, that's weird. I don't like this. Maybe I would like to change my vote. Now, public reaction on social media was kind of harsh, with users mocking those looking to reverse their votes. One user emphasized that voters made their decisions consciously and should stand by them, regardless of any second thoughts that they have, Jason. This reflects frustration over the idea of altering votes after the fact, highlighting low disillusionment can set in, or highlighting how disillusionment can set in after the election.
Okay.
The increased search interest likely stems from growing realization among voters about the potential consequences of their choices, particularly with Trump's promises of controversial policies. This situation reveals a deeper issue in the political landscape: voter regret, confusion, and the challenges that come with reconciling personal beliefs with electoral outcomes. And, you know, see, and that's...
Yeah.
Listen. Shh. I got to turn everybody off except for me. Shh. Don't say a word, everybody. Quiet. I'm talking to all the people out there listening to us here on the Qnow. That's what I'm doing. I'm talking to everybody who listening to us on the Qnow. Listen. For 4 solid years, me and that man over there sitting across from me, 5 feet away, his name is Jason Cole. We would drive to a radio station. We would get on the air for multiple hours. Sometimes Moshe Kopolow would be our guest, and we were in a completely different building at a completely different place. Correct, Moshe? Correct.
Whole different vibe.
And guess what? Every single step of the way, we've told you. And by the way, here, this is what I need you guys all to know. I'm doing this from the Gateway Fiber Studios of a Fox News radio station. Okay? Speaking this style of politics. Not Trump love. Not anti-Trump, but not Trump love. We are not screaming conservative love right now. 22 hours of the day, they talk about all that other stuff. For these 2 hours, we talk about the politics that are happening in America and how they need to be viewed and how you should attempt to go down the road of voting. And we're not going to choose bad people for you. I understand Kamala was black. I understand Kamala was a woman. I understand Kamala had a white husband, so that's an interracial couple, and you don't like that either. I understand all
what
of
do you mean
these
you don't like that?
rural thoughts that rural people have in their rural minds when they make rural Trump decisions. I get it. I understand. But I also understand politics. Moshe understands politics. Jason understands politics. We don't sit here and say Donald Trump sucks because he beat us in a game of pickleball. We say that Donald Trump sucks because he does things that will affect all of us. And let me explain to you how this affects, ladies and gentlemen. I didn't talk about this on the last show, but Moshe, if you could give me 1 second, maybe you can jump on top of it.
Ooh.
Very possibly.
Like Bobert?
You can get right on top of it.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
In public.
Tukin Olam.
Like Bobert.
Tikun Olam.
So you
MFers.
gotta go over the second word. if you're
Tikun
going for-
Olam.
Well, you're not gonna say the second word?
MFers, I said it. Mother Fickers. It says it right there.
Yeah, the fudge.
The fudgers. But this is okay.
Well, cool.
If we spend all of our time, like, okay, you get up in the morning and you go and you work at the gas station, or you roof houses, or you're a plumber, or whatever the job is. I don't care what it is.
Wow.
You could do whatever it is for a living in your life, okay? That's your job. That's what you get up and go do. I get up and go do this, my job. That's what I get up and go do. And so when you get fired from your job as a plumber or whatever it is, if I get fired from my job, it's this. This is my job. I don't come and tell you how to plumb a house. I don't come and tell you how to put the shingles on a roof.
Yes.
I don't tell you how to build any of the boards or the walls. I don't tell you how to give the teller at the bank who's working next to you the deposit slip. I don't tell you how to do anything.
Mostly because I don't know how to do.
Right, you don't know how to do any of those things, Jason.
I don't
now,
know how
Moshe,
to
maybe
roof
he is a handy. Maybe he knows how to swing a hammer a little bit. I don't know.
If you tell me what to do, I can
You know
do
how to
it.
swing a hammer?
I do.
All right,
I don't
that's
know
fair.
how to do it.
That's fair.
Oh, man.
But you know how to Bobert.
You know how to boat.
You know how to Bobert.
Been doing that for
You know how to do a
30
flying
something
chicken
years.
wing, right? The flying chicken wing?
Yeah,
okay.
right.
All right, so here's the deal. So for 4 years, we came on this station, and we had John Shepard and other conservatives come on this show with
those
us.
good guys.
And there have been John Danforth, a very well-known
interview.
conservative,
Super
was
conservative.
on our show. Like, there you go. One of the most famous conservatives of the last 30 years was on our show talking about the politics with us. That wasn't happening in your lunchroom at the plumbing job. They didn't have John Danforth walk in while you were eating lunch one day with you and Bob, and then they started discussing politics at the highest levels. That never happened. I'm sorry. And by the way, the guy that owns the small business that thinks that Trump's doing it for him, I'm just going to let you know, I don't care if you have $5 million in your bank account from your small business. That is what Donald Trump wipes his A with.
Yeah.
Every
maybe.
single time he goes to the bathroom. He doesn't give a crap about the work you've put in, 50, 60, 70 hours
He
a week.
skipped a bunch of
He
workers.
doesn't care
He does.
about
He does.
any of
He
that.
didn't pay his contractors
Listen,
who built stuff for
you
him.
small business owners do not matter to a Donald Trump. And I know you think you do. You're like, I voted for him. He said words on screen, so I know he believes in me. So did Joe Biden. And when he said words on screen, you said, that guy looks really too old to even run for president. Maybe he should step down.
You shouldn't do that.
What do you think Donald Trump is at 80 years old? What do you think J.D. Vance and Elon Musk see? We were talking about these appointments. I was talking about how things can layer out and lay up. Every accusation is an admission of guilt. If I say that they're going to use the 25th Amendment to get rid of Joe Biden, that's what Kamala Harris wants to do in this election.
And you know,
It might be something that they're talking about that they're planning on doing to their Joe Biden.
Right.
Do you understand now the accusation, the admission of guilt?
right now he is surrounded by the appointees he's had with people who have trashed him in the past.
I can't get that.
Him in the past.
Tulsi Gabbard has.
The guy who
RFK
wants
has.
loyalists has J.D.
Oh, yeah,
Vance.
you got to yell. The microphone.
J.D. Vance, who trashed him.
Yes.
Has Tulsi Gabbard, who trashed him.
That's right.
Has RFK, who's trashed everybody.
Oh, and we're going to talk about him when we get to the.
I'm just saying, like for a guy who wants loyalists,
what
why are there so many guys who've trashed him on the cabinet?
You know what
I
confuses
don't get
them? It confuses them because it's not about politics. I don't like Donald Trump. He's a bad man.
Hey, you know
and
what?
It matters. He shouldn't be president.
You know what it is? Here, I'm going to fix America right now.
Ooh,
Jay,
do it,
Moshe, do you
it.
think I can? Listen, I'm going to ask you both before I do it. Do you think that I can fix America
I hope
with
so.
my next statement?
I am optimistic.
Optimistic. Okay, what do you think,
Deeply
Moshe?
skeptical.
Deeply skeptical.
Deeply skeptical.
All right, here we go. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Pay attention.
Free Weed Friday.
especially if you work for this radio station or any of the people around, pay attention because I'm going to make this comment. This is not hard, ladies and gentlemen. It's not hard for Moshe. It's not hard for Jason. Just don't listen to Republicans that are not candidates or working in politics. That's it, right there. End of story.
You
do
might
not
end up knowing more.
You do not end up talking to your small business owner that's your boss. He doesn't understand the Donald Trump way of life or politics at the highest level. Do not talk to your friends on the job site. They work at your job site. They don't even know how to do their jobs properly, and you bitch about them at the lunchroom an hour after you listen to me say this to you, okay?
You know
so
what?
guess what? They definitely aren't working at the highest levels of politics or anything for America whatsoever. The people you should listen to, if you want to listen to Republicans, listen to the candidates and listen to what they say. That's it.
You know what?
Those are the people that work in politics, so they're the ones who would know what politics is.
It's funny you just said that. I was going to say, if people really want to know what's going on, don't watch the news. Listen to interviews with the politicians.
Oh, wait,
Listen-
did you just
listen
YouTube these
to an
people? Like, go
interview.
YouTube your life so that
Like,
you are YouTube.
Either audio or video.
Isn't that
Watch-
what Alex Jones did
watch-
to get InfoWars?
Oh, well, yeah, now it's owned by The Onion.
Yeah, so
But-
why would we want to send them to
but
the
watch
Onion?
And the Sandy Hook parents.
That's and the Sandy Hook
And the Sandy Hook parents.
Um,
I'll
we'll
get
get to
the
them
Sandy Hook
too.
parents.
They
Yeah.
watch an interview with him and don't watch Fox. Dress it up. Don't watch Newsmax. Dress
Right.
it up and tell me, does that look like someone that you want making decisions? Watch an interview with some of these other guys when they don't think anyone's paying attention. They're crazy people.
Now, Moshe, I did ask you before I made my comment. Did you think that it's something, if I said it, that could fix America in this situation? And I feel like coming out of this election specifically, if they had only listened to Republican candidates, physical candidates or politicians that work within politics, not their Facebook feeds, not all the people that send them messages privately and their friends that they see at the bowling alley and all. No, none of that. They actually just listened to the people when they did the press conferences or the debates and the things like that. If they had done that, they might have come out of this with a much better angle as far as the way that they view politics and how they would have voted.
Right.
I'm not saying it would have fixed them, but I feel like it could fix a lot, and we could see moving forward.
Give me a moment to respond.
Yes,
Take
sir.
me a second. I couldn't disagree with you more, politely.
Fair enough.
And that is, I actually think a huge problem is that voters did listen to the politicians, that voters did listen to what they were saying. And unfortunately,
Did they listen to politicians?
because they also listened to the Democrats, who presented a lot of things that were really extreme with no ability to push back on the furthest, craziest reaches of their own left. And they said things that were not popular to a lot of rural voters. They said things that were not popular to a lot of city voters. They said things that led Donald Trump built the coalition the Democrats dreamed of. Frankly, Democrats need to do a much better job of listening to voters in general, especially the elite Democrats are not talking to the guys in the lunchroom. That is, in fact, one of the biggest disconnect. They became the party of elites. Donald Trump, as much as he's not the guy I'm a fan of, I am impressed by his coalition. One of the few things I will say positively, he increased the number of African American voters. Black men turned out in record numbers.
What do you guys do here?
Sorry.
Shut
Go on.
What are you doing here, Shep?
Like Latinos voted in record numbers for him. Like he held on.
That's
to
gonna be the
50%,
craziest vote.
52% of like the white female suburban vote. People who are voting, splitting votes between they are pro-abortion and they are riding Donald Trump. Donald Trump won Rashida Tlaib's district +7. Okay, so as frankly, I actually think voters did listen to both parties. And one of the things I'm hoping for, because I would not prefer to see 4 more years of the madness we're already seeing, and the guy's not even president yet, is that the leaders of the Democrat Party actually don't need to listen to Bob in the lunchroom. They actually need to understand what voters are going with. Because I actually think voters did listen. And what they heard and saw is that a lot of voters saw a whole lot of people who claimed to speak for them and absolutely 100% did not. So actually, I think the problem is absolutely opposite. I like talking to my Republican friends. I like talking to my Democrat friends. I think that communication is in fact the way forward. And I think that the way we got here is that the Democrat Party forgot that they're supposed to talk to Bob in the lunchroom, that they need to actually represent Latinos, that the Latinx thing they scream about isn't the way that Hispanic people speak their own language. That if they listen to Hispanics, we wouldn't be here.
In 2027, I want to hear from those 45% of Latinos that voted for him.
All right.
I want to hear what they have
That's
to
fair.
say.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick break. We are at the top of the hour. We got some news coming up and all that. And when we come back, more with myself, Jason Cole, and Moshe Kopolow. We'll be back on the Qnow right after this. Jason's trying to woo me back into his life by playing some Cure, because I'm a huge Cure fan. Welcome back to the Qnow. Mark Bland, Jason Call, Moshe Kopolow is our guest. We're hanging out here talking politics and fun with you until 9 o'clock. If you want to join us on the air, you can. 636.
Yeah, you can.
625-6397. That's 636-625-6397. Remember, we are on FCC airwaves, so if you cuss, that's a bad thing. That's a bad thing. Moshe.
Yeah, don't do that.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. How are
you doing okay over there?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Oh, get close to that mic. Go ahead, get closer.
Is it close enough?
No, that's fine.
I can
You're
just
good.
get louder.
No, you're good.
Get
You're good.
on
No,
it.
you don't have to get louder. You're fine.
No.
So let's talk. We've been talking politics for the last hour. We've been talking a lot of Trump. And Trump being in power now. Well, not in power yet, but
January 20th.
on his way to becoming in power at the beginning of next year.
Yay.
And along with all of the voting and all of the arguments about abortion and everything that went on in this country, there are things around the world that were in play also at the exact same time. Things that are dear to your heart. Things like Ukraine and things like Israel and those parts of the world. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit about that because that is kind of your expertise, your background. So I thought it would be great to go to the well directly to find out what you need to know about these things. But as Donald Trump moves into January of next year and moving through 2025 specifically, not Project 2025, but the idea of next year, how, first off, the vote comes down. The people on that side of the world, let's just talk about Ukrainians, okay? I'm sure you've talked to people about the Ukrainian situation regarding Donald Trump winning the presidency since it's happened. How have they viewed it from your position?
There's two main views in Ukraine on Donald Trump. One view is concerned because of his commentary and demonstrations that his demonstration of wanting to work with Putin, and they feel that he might appease Putin. The other view in Ukraine, and they're not sure, and frankly we're not either, is there's a feeling that because the Biden administration had a lot of restraint and was into escalation management, they're feeling the Biden administration didn't really want Ukraine to win, and they're hopeful that the other version of Donald Trump, the guy who is also, he says lots of conflicting things, he has also said, like, let's give these guys $500 billion of weapons if Putin's not coming to the table. They hope that guy shows up. So there's two competing views in Ukraine, and frankly, they and we do not know which is going to show up. No. I'm concerned we're going to get the concerning one, but people are hopeful that the other guy could show up.
Now, with that being said, and that was a great explanation, by the way, Donald Trump has been pretty straightforward and out there that he is buddies with Putin. Like, he has made it very evident that he's buddies with Putin.
That's a one-way street.
And so the rest of the world, the smart people, the people on this show that do this for a living, looked at that situation and were very quick to understand that aside from also cozying up to Kim Jong-un, another dictator. Now, Putin will say he's a president of a communist country where he just keeps winning by fake votes. So that's technically a dictatorship in itself. So it seems like Donald Trump likes to cozy up to people who are oligarchs and dictators, rich people that like power and do crazy things to other human beings. If I was Ukrainian, I would probably think this guy is going to let Putin do whatever he wants. He's going to turn a blind eye and allow this man to use nuclear warheads or something else on our country and get away with it so that the rest of the world understands
the more
biggest
likely scenario.
dog on the block with the most military isn't going to protect them.
So right now, unfortunately, Russia is gaining territory at a very high cost of Russian lives. They're also bombing regularly both Kyiv, the capital city with 5 million people, and Kharkiv, their second largest city. So unfortunately, Russia is making small, slow, but actual gains. That's going on in Ukraine, and it's considered a major problem that they're going to get to an even bigger city with their troops at this rate at some point. Donald Trump called Putin. We know that happened, and we know he basically told Putin to chill on Ukraine. Putin did not do this. Putin, first, he sent 50,000 more troops to the front line. Second, he bombed their second largest city, which is millions of people.
Okay.
Right? So a city larger than St. Louis, like a St. Louis-sized city or bigger, he just bombed that more.
That's right.
And then, in a way that no man should appreciate, he took the former pictures, his Trump's current wife is a model, and
Melania,
yeah, and she took a bunch of pictures that were very racy, back in the day.
Yeah, back in the day.
And they
Full
took
nude.
the raciest pictures that they could find of her,
Yeah.
and they posted those onto Russian state television. That's just insulting to any man. So Putin's response, that's not a friendship response. No friend of mine, yours, or any man I know would post pictures of that man's wife in that Yeah, sure, she used to be a model. We don't do that.
Puppet.
You know
What is that?
You know what I found to be interesting though with that news story is watching the video. Even in Russia, you can't show naked women during the night on the news on state TV.
That is kind of crazy.
The
like
pictures of her were blurred out.
They were still blurred out. Yeah, like there were still sections of it that were blurred
think about
out.
that. Like even in Russia, like
I mean, but that should tell you how offensive it is, right? So like, but like part of it, like the hopeful Ukrainians are like, okay, he'll find his manhood and do what's right here.
Yeah.
Like that's the hopeful side. The not hopeful side is maybe he really is. The negative side is he'll just take it. Like that's totally offensive.
Well,
I don't get out in himself by pro-Russian people.
Let's do what we do, guys.
Yes.
Let's do
Tulsi
what we
Gabbard.
do. Let's do what we do. Yep. Tulsi Gabbard. Listen, let's do what we do. Let's, like I said, pull out from this for the bigger picture and take a look at the overall. No, let's take a big look at the overall to help figure out this Ukrainian thing. We have a guy who, in his first term, 2016, when he won the presidential election then, spent the first 3 months after he won the election just kind of lollygagging around and trying to figure out why he won or how he won. Didn't know he was going to have any appointments or cabinet people or this, that, or the other. Within the first 3 days after he won this election in 2024, he already had 15 slots filled immediately of appointees. This is not the same individual. And when I say that by the big picture look, from 2016 to now, we've got an individual who seems to be being told what to go out on press conferences and say, being told who to put up for appointments and things to do and set up now, immediately, super fast, out of the complete blue. That throws a little bit of chaos into all of this post-election, pre-inauguration world. And then you look at what we're talking about there with the state media, the not being friends with Trump and this, that, and the other. You're starting to look at a picture of maybe he's a puppet. And you know, a puppet doesn't care because they're a puppet. A puppet has somebody up their ass with a hand making your mouth move. Wow. I just did.
Wow.
I just did. But you do that with your hand.
Very nice.
And by the way, if that's what's happening, I don't care that you showed pictures of my wife on there. And yeah, you will go and do whatever you want because I'm going to turn a blind eye because I'm a puppet. And I'm a puppet for J.D. Vance and Elon, too. That's why I put up all these appointees. I'm going to puppet because I'm going to get 25th Amendmented out of my spot. Like, I'm a puppet because I'm everything Mark and Jason and Moshe and everybody else said about me for the last 8 straight years. No questions asked. Because we watched it for 4 years as president of the United States. We knew he was a piece of crap then. Sorry, I disagree with Donald Trump, and I don't think he makes good decisions. That doesn't mean I hate Donald Trump or I wish bad on Donald Trump. I don't. I don't wish bad on him. And as Moshe explained to us earlier on this show, he is our president, correct, Moshe? He is now 100% our president.
Donald Trump will be our president on January 20th.
And if Donald Trump came to this studio, and I said this, remember, Jason, at the old studio, if Donald Trump ever came and said, I want to sit down and talk to you guys on your show, we would gladly have the president of the United States sit down, even if we disagreed with him, sit down and have a conversation with us on this show.
Probably would.
We would. I'm just being honest.
But you know, like,
when I say those things, guys, I'm not saying it out of anger or hatred for Donald Trump. I'm saying it out of disillusionment and unhappiness and what I feel is kind of like a slap in the face of the American public, like a disrespect. That's how I say it. Well, that's what I'm attacking. That's what I'm talking about.
You know, we're talking
That's what's crappy.
About the Ukrainians being nervous that they're going to get the pro-Putin Trump. But remember when he first became president in 2017, how many multiple aides did he have that had to redo their clearance forms because they forgot to put down people they knew inside the Russian government?
Yeah,
multiple people. Multiple. Jared had to do that.
Jared forgot to put in $1 billion loan that he had.
Yeah, there it is, guys.
Yeah, I mean,
keep
these
going.
things they forgot.
Yeah, pull
That's
out.
What
Keep
they
pulling
did
out.
The first time.
Yeah.
Now the Supreme Court seems to have his back.
Okay.
That he's going to have immunity.
Right.
And you think this is going to be
so
fine?
add that on to the puppet aspect, to the Putin aspect, add the immunity, add all of that together, and then when the other people get in here, let me ask you this question, Moshe, because this might be a more important question when it's all said and done. How do you feel J.D. Vance views the situation with Ukraine and how he would approach a Russian situation with Putin?
J.D. Vance has been very clear that he wants to remove America from most of the world stage.
Okay.
He wants to pull back our military support
Correct.
from Ukraine.
Keep going.
He frankly wants to remove our military support from the Middle East as well.
Okay.
J.D. Vance is as isolationist and pacifist a politician as we have had in any of our lifetimes.
Now, if Donald Trump removed aid or the United States' involvement in Ukraine, I feel that would probably make you not very happy.
That is absolutely correct.
That would not make you very happy. At the same point, this is possibly something on the board.
Yep.
This very well could happen. And then where are the Ukrainian people at that point?
They're still fighting.
They'll be fighting. Will they be winning?
They're not winning now, and it would probably be worse.
They're not winning now, and they'd probably lose when it's all said and done.
It would probably be worse.
Well, worse would be lose. Worse would be the country's gone. It's theirs again.
I would
we lost.
So, the thing is, when Russia takes territory, have you seen what picture of Mariupol city? It was famous. The Azov defenders stood in this old Soviet.
I'll have to look it up. I haven't.
Right. So Russia took a city, a major 100,000 plus person city,
Mariupol
City, and they committed atrocities to the people who lived there. They destroyed a bunch of buildings. It looks still, even after being under Russian occupation without the Ukrainians firing at it, like a war zone. And they did horrible atrocities to the people there.
Is that the city where they were in the street?
That was Bucha. You're thinking of. That's Bucha. That was
shot in the back.
That's Bucha, right?
Which is great.
You had a whole family of people that were all shot.
Yeah,
you had a 3-year-old girl that had been assaulted in an inappropriate way.
Right.
It was awful. Absolutely
guys,
awful.
You're talking
That's
about all of these cities, and we're not even talking about.
But Tim Pool took money.
I said Slobodan Milosevic earlier. We're not even talking about all the crazy nutso crap with Yugoslavia and Bosnia and Herzegovina and all the genocide through that, which was Russian backed and involved at that time and that point in history.
Yep.
Now it's this stuff here. This is common, guys.
But that's what you're facing. You don't stop fighting, right? You actually force your opponent to take every single inch, because literally anywhere they go, if they are able to take your people in your city, you're looking at true atrocities of World War II level
magnitude, horrible thing,
right? And the Russians also did atrocities in World War II, so this was something that they did back then, which is partially why Ukraine, which had been forcibly famined by them in the Holodomor by Stalin, they don't like Russia either, because this isn't the first time Russia has tried to exterminate or genocide the Ukrainians. They're not okay with it, so they're going to keep fighting, is the assumption, because anywhere they lose territory, if they lose a city, it's going to turn into an atrocity hellhole. That's not really okay with people. It means you keep fighting even if you're losing.
That's true. I understand. Well, ladies and gentlemen, here's what's going to happen. We're going to take a quick break here on the show. We were talking a little Ukraine there, and with any luck, Donald Trump will make the better decisions that are going to help the people of Ukraine. But there's other things going on in the world. We're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we're going to talk a little bit about Gaza, Israel. We're going to talk a little bit about that part of the world and Donald Trump and his involvement in that. So we'll be back on the queue right after this.
AM, 105.3 FM, KYRO, 102.5 WIDH. Welcome back to the Qnow Heartland with Jason Paul with our special guest Moshe Kopolow today. Hanging out and talking to us. We just got done talking a little bit about Ukraine and Donald Trump's potential involvement in that as we move into 2025 and his presidency that is going to be coming up. But
you know, Moshe, you have another part of your life. Another part of your world that you've grown up into.
Secret life.
That is it's not a secret life.
Oh, I thought we were going there.
No,
sorry.
keep your hand. Listen,
rewind.
I did not date that woman.
First off,
Miss Bobert.
Keep your hands above the table, Jason. We've already talked about the Facebook
it's over
thing.
now. He knows we were gonna set him up.
Listen, we've already talked about the Facebook thing up there. We can see your hand when it goes under the table.
Up, it was down.
It goes under and it makes moves up and down. It looks weird. Okay. All right. Now, let's talk a little bit. Let's switch gears. Let's talk a little bit about Israel. Let's talk about Bibi, right? Our friend Bibi.
Still the prime minister.
He's still the prime minister.
Still the prime minister.
No matter what he says or does,
isn't he indicted
somehow
as well?
he's still the prime minister.
He got out of that by being prime minister.
Oh,
yeah.
that's how that works.
It's how that works. If you have power,
it's almost like that's happened somewhere recently.
Could you get rid of your court cases if you became like a president or anything?
And hold on, I would point out that in Israel, you can both be elected if you've been in jail. One of the major parties, actually, their member of their Knesset, their parliament, their Congress, was like indicted Aryeh Day in the 90s for like some pretty bad corruption and other kind of charges. And they just
nothing in the 90s corruption was good.
His voters just voted him right back in. So to be fair, even if you're guilty in Israel, doesn't mean the voters have to stop voting for you. They're allowed to. You are allowed to go from the jailhouse straight to the parliament in Israel. That's
like a year from now, he gets arrested again.
We can vote for a criminal in America if we want a criminal. If enough voters in America want to put a criminal in office,
right?
Would we put a criminal in office like somebody found guilty of a felony?
I don't know.
We can do that. And we may have done that recently.
You have to believe a whole lot of stuff is untrue to believe Donald Trump ever tells the truth. And that's a fact.
Okay.
You have to believe a whole lot of stuff isn't true. A whole lot of accusations aren't true.
With this all being said, Moshe, you are a Jewish man who lives in America and is watching what is happening from afar to Israel as well as Gaza and the Middle East and all of that. And Donald Trump being involved. Now, the first time around, 2017 to 2021, what was Donald Trump's view or involvement with Netanyahu and all of that at that time?
The Netanyahu government has explicitly aligned itself with our Republican Party.
Okay.
And Donald Trump, if only of the Israeli electorate, right? And there's many dual citizens. So if only the Israeli electorate voted for the presidency here,
sure,
Donald Trump's popularity there would win in a landslide. He is very popular in Israel.
All right.
He is viewed, whether you like this or not, as the most Zionist president America has ever had.
Of course.
And he had policies
with his upside-down Bible. Yes.
And he had policies that Israel quite liked. He recognized the Golan Heights sovereignty. He moved the capital to where Israel says its capital is, Jerusalem.
Why couldn't Israel just do that?
Israel did, and no country recognized it or moved their embassy.
Oh well, I mean, you got to get the rest of the world on board. Like that's a problem that not the president of the United States specifically can fix. In this case, he did.
Well, it's a diplomatic problem for them.
Right, sure.
So, and in recognizing it's something that the Israelis appreciated.
I get it.
And he basically backed off the very large amount of American criticism of Israelis living in the West Bank that was had under the Obama administration and frankly even under Bush. Like that had been the standard of American politics going back since I can remember.
Right.
And Donald Trump changed that. So he, in many ways, is very popular in Israel. But
how do you view that then? How do you view his? I mean, obviously, you have friends, you have family that are deeply connected to that part of the world. If he's
I have a cousin living in Jerusalem with a bunch of kids.
And is he a fan of Donald Trump?
Her husband is a he. You know what? She's very, very religious.
Okay.
So I couldn't tell you. I can tell you she's not a fan of rocket fire.
You've never asked her, is what I'm saying.
It's not even something I would ask her.
Oh, okay. I mean, I just figured in general conversation, it might pop up here or there.
If I call my cousin, we're having a religious conversation.
Okay, that's fair. Well, you know what?
And about kids.
Do me a great favor. If you want to, it's up to you. Ask her next time. Find out. See what she thinks. Maybe you might turn around and find out she thinks she's the worst person ever. I don't know.
I will tell you that I do have other friends that I made who live in Israel, and if you're like looking at their Facebook feeds, it is very pro-Trump.
Okay, now, with that being said, Donald Trump, once again, the Israel thing I feel like is a turn a blind eye thing, right? It comes down to if Netanyahu wants to do his thing and take out Hamas, which is fine. That's obviously the war that they're dealing with, so that's who they would go after and try to take out.
Well, they're also fighting Hezbollah right now, but
isn't it all one big thing? I mean, they're all
there's two ways to view this, right? Is this Israel fighting Hamas and Hezbollah? Is this
one big thing?
Or if it's one big thing, this is the first stage of the Israel-Iran war. That's the other view here, and because Iran is the major sponsor of Hezbollah and Hamas.
Now, see, America should go after Iran.
Aren't they basically like Vietnam's Viet Cong? I mean, Hezbollah.
Sort of, yeah. That's kind of an interesting way to put it. Yeah.
Like
from what I know,
from within.
No, because they're
from within.
They're far
though.
from without, right?
Well, but Hamas is like an actual government.
Right, they're their own entity.
Hezbollah has significant political control of Lebanon, or did.
Okay.
Southern Beirut.
So, a Donald Trump inside of his presidency might turn a blind eye to a Netanyahu laying waste to the Gaza Strip.
Israel cares a lot about defense support from America, but they also have a large defense industry themselves now.
Sure.
So, because to them it is existential, right? Like the October 7th was the largest massacre of Jews since the Holocaust.
Okay.
Yeah,
in one day.
I'd buy more weapons.
Right. So they build more weapons because
Yeah.
they're never sure. Like the Israeli independence, they struggled to have enough guns in the war for independence, and they were outnumbered 2-1, 3-1.
Listen, those guys live over there in the middle of that desert. That's their problem. They're going to have to make sure they protect themselves. So if they build stuff,
right.
fine.
So I'm just saying, but they care a lot. Like we have provided air defense to Israel. The Biden administration has provided significant amounts of air defense to Israel. So, the Israel cares a lot about that. We assume the ties will continue. Frankly, how the Trump administration, who under Trump, one of the few good things I would say, the biggest achievement he had was the Abraham Accords in the Middle East, which is a peace agreement between Israel and Sunni neighbors. The first formal recognition by Arabian Peninsula countries of Israel, right? So we saw a formal peace treaty with the UAE. So he actually made huge diplomatic strides in his first administration.
Sure.
No,
What that looks like now, nobody knows. And it becomes, so really, we're not really sure how that goes. And frankly, Bibi says he wants to eliminate Hamas, but he doesn't have a plan that gets us there right now.
He's got concepts of a plan.
I mean,
that's the other guy.
So the problem is,
that's the other guy. Sorry,
the scale,
I thought they were all the same
scale
thing.
of Hamas is beyond the concept that we want to deal with. Currently, everybody is up in arms. The casualty is about 40 to 45,000. The number of people on Hamas's payroll, that's military to janitor,
sure,
was 330,000, give or take a few thousand, as of October 6th, 2023.
This is who? Hamas?
Hamas. That is the size of their official payroll right before October 7th. Bibi is not into summary execution of 300,000 members. That's people who are formally members of the Hamas terrorist group, right?
That's like Cincinnati invading.
That is a huge number of people, right? And frankly, the best thing that he wants...
It's like Springfield, Missouri.
Right? The thing that he wants, he doesn't have, which is a foreign partner to come administer and de-radicalize the place. He wants Egypt or Saudi or the UAE to come in and de-radicalize the place. And none of those Arab countries want a single thing to do with that.
And do you know why? Let me explain this to you.
Because it's a snake pit full of terrorists. They don't want the terrorists either.
All right, so now it's time to yell at our friend Moshe, because this is what we were trying to get to earlier. See, what I'm trying to explain to Moshe is that the rest of the world has existed for thousands of years.
True.
Sometimes they have temples. Sometimes they have ditches in the ground. They have pyramids in Gaza, or not Gaza, in Egypt. What do they call that, though? That's the Giza, not Gaza. Yeah. But my point being is, all of these places are where the birth of man is from, right? That's
you have to go into Africa for that,
right? But you know what I'm talking about. That's where the cradle of man is where it started.
Cradle of civilization is what you're looking for.
That's right, that whole area. And then from there, it floated out in every direction towards England, and then north, and then through to China, and then over the land bridge, and then down through the Inuits to become Indians, to become eventually fighting with the Pilgrims, and then the American Revolutionary War, and then where we're at today. We are what I consider the youngest technical major country on earth right now that has money, power, and the leadership at the same level of other places that have been around for thousands of years in certain cases. And so that means they have all made their mistakes hundreds and hundreds of years before we made ours. And they fixed themselves hundreds of years before us. I'll give you a good example. Germany, 1930. They figured it out. He was Hitler, and he was bad, and a fascist, and a Nazi, and he was going to try to murder the world. And then they realized this is bad. And then the World War happened, and they tried to kill him and stop it. And then they turned around and they said, we're never going to let that happen in Germany again. This is not acceptable as humanity exists.
Right.
Now, this is just one example that's newer in the last couple hundred years.
Their nation's newer than ours.
There's so many things.
Their nation's newer than
But
ours.
those
though.
areas over there,
But
there's
the
so
area,
much
like
Our
older.
area was
Yeah.
here then too.
And there
But
were
no one
people,
lived here, like,
but there were
in-
Look at the Cahokia
in
Mountains. That
types
was
of-
once a 40,000 person city.
Correct.
Some people
in
live
the
here.
types of a city
And-
today that you can relate. They were similar cities. Here, it was a whole different
It was
civilization.
Germany.
But he
owned
wants
the Holy Roman Empire.
Moshe, I know what Moshe's
Russia.
problem is. I know what Moshe's problem is.
It's not the same government.
Nope.
It's not the same structure.
I know what Moshe's
It
problem is.
wasn't an
Similar-
empire.
I know
similar
Moshe's
situation.
problem. I know Moshe's problem. He doesn't know what his problem is. I know
This
what
ought
his
to be
problem is.
good.
You ready?
Yeah.
You're trying to associate things in terms of today's politics and the way the world is today and who's in the player positions and this, that, and the other. 1,000 years, just 1,000 years, let's just go 1,000 years ago, there were other Netanyahu type people, there were other Bibis, there were other people that were Hamas and Hezbollah that were just the same mentality, that were warring factions in those parts of the world with each other over religion and all kinds of other things throughout time, and they made their mistakes 1,000 years ago and knew that type of person or this type of government or this doesn't work, and we're never going back that route. The reason I know this, think of how many countries in Europe eventually just got universal health care. Because they all tried it the way the United States is. Everybody man for themselves. Everybody make your money for yourselves. Hey, we're going to do health care. Hey, well, we don't have a plan for health care. Well, what do we do? Well, they can start a company and we'll all do what their thing. And that's how America is, right? That's capitalism. Well, they tried that in other countries. It didn't work out. They decided, okay, the only way that we're going to continue to survive and do this properly in France, in Belarus, in this country, in that country, Czechoslovakia, any of them, we're going to have universal health care. So they decided on it. And by the way, this is how I know it worked, and this is how I know I'm right. Nobody has ever put universal health care in any of those countries back on the ballot to take it off.
Belarus
to get
doesn't have
out of there.
It's a dictatorship.
But my point is great. One country, like I got 4,000 other countries I'll prove it to you with. Like, it's fine. We can get into semantics if you want, Moshe, but when
That's
I'm
not
trying
semantics. I'm pointing it out. That's not. They don't have a ballot there. It's a horrible dictatorship.
So I chose one wrong I'm sorry.
They still have the KGB there.
I'm sorry.
They torture their own people. It's a terrible place.
Could you please give me another one to replace it with?
Sure, yeah, Spain.
There we go.
Yeah.
Spain. Perfect. Okay. But my point being is there we are, guys. It's never been pulled onto the ballot to be taken out of their countries. And think about this. You had a country like England that elected, what was his name? Boris? The guy that was
Boris Johnson.
Yeah,
Boris Johnson. That guy was just like Trump. They have
ended up
universal
not
health
being
care.
like Trump.
He could have easily taken universal health care, put it on the ballot, and have them pull it out of the country and take it off of the board. And he didn't even do it. None of them ever do it because it works. It saves them money. It helps their countries. They like it. Canada's not going to stop doing it.
I think
they do it in other Central American countries too. Stop this, United States.
Maybe
you're stupid.
We could do it in maybe like the 10 worst healthcare states. But in those European countries, it's easier to do.
We already
they
pay more than they do.
Yeah, they
per
are.
person. We pay more as our government, just our government, pays more per capita for health care than all those European socialized medicine.
There it is.
We're already paying for it. So before your out-of-pocket money and all the money you pay, we all pay a ton of money for health care. Before we even touch that, our government already pays enough for it.
Yeah, they just
we are
wouldn't let
just
us do
terrible
it.
at organizing it as a country to actually deliver health care to everybody.
So
we're paying for it. We're just not getting it.
All right, so here's the deal, guys.
It's worth more to not
Here's the
give
deal.
it and give
Maybe if I created a department of government efficiency. Now,
And named after your
if
food
I
with
did
Bitcoin?
this, now hear me out. No, just hear me out for 1 second. If I did this, maybe I could go research universal care and costs
He's
in
probably down for that.
in other countries, and then see what America would be on the line for in comparison, and then maybe the Department of Government Efficiency would recognize exactly what Moshe just said and go, oh my God, we should probably do universal health care in America. We'd save money and we'd have a better health care system.
Have you ever looked at what Vivek's personal business background is?
Isn't he a pyramid
he was
scheme guy?
Yeah, like a MLM.
He put together actual large-scale investment bank style businesses. They did not run in the black. Hold on. But one of the things he did is actually buy up medicine patents, jack up the prices, and then sell the company back to other people. So in fact,
he's like the one guy.
So we're talking about literally
Scarelli.
Yes, but he did it legally, so he didn't go to jail for it.
Yeah.
So my comment here is, if that's our goal, we just put the fox in the henhouse. Now I don't think the Doge is going to do that, but I'm pointing out that like if there's a person in America into government efficiency in healthcare, we just put our biggest poacher in charge.
I don't. How do you square to Congress that you want to eliminate the Department of Education, but create the Department of Government?
He wants to get rid of the VA. He's explicitly like what he says is I want to get rid of unauthorized spending. The biggest piece of unauthorized spending because the authorization died in the 90s.
To then not
is the Veterans Administration, the Veterans Affairs Administration. In other words, VA healthcare for our veterans.
Everything if they do that.
Yeah, that's what
like
he wants.
The Department of Education.
He's actually said he wants to get rid of veterans healthcare.
They're going to stop funding schools.
How do you get rid of veterans healthcare?
Right?
How do you get rid of healthcare for guys with
you know how you do
from
it?
all the and women from these wars we've been in?
You do it when you don't care. When you just don't care.
You don't care.
No,
that's what you do. You just don't care.
And if people blame you, you just don't take responsibility. And you
Moshe, all of this stuff is easy to figure out and easy to see. If I was in Ukraine, listen, if I was in office, I'd fix the Ukraine thing immediately. I'd make a call to Putin. I'd have Zelensky there. It'd be bad, and it would be all done. Listen, Kamala over here, she's not even black. She just became black this week.
You say that, and that's not enough.
She's not going to be able to do it. I'll make a phone call. He'll do it. He'll put my wife on state TV. It'll be fine. Listen,
and you know what?
I love it. That's what he said at a national debate with Kamala standing right next to him to the American people. They believed it. You said he made a call to Putin. Putin's like, click, hung up on him, put his wife's naked pictures on TV, told him to F off. Like, I don't know what else we got to do, Jay, on this show than have guys like Moshe on and say the same damn thing, the same god-d thing every single week, ladies and gentlemen, and tell you this crap. Okay, hold on. Jay, say what you got to say, and we're going straight to break.
What I'm saying is if it blows up in his face, people who watch Fox, Newsmax, ONN, there's online things, if they don't air it and tell them, so many people in this country won't know it happened. Unless it's so big it makes like the nightly news or the paper, or people at work are just like, oh my God, did you hear? That's what the scary thing. They'll get away with so much little stuff. In the end, it'll just be huge.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick break here on the Q Now. When we come back, we're going to finish this show off for you. We got our friend Moshe here. We'll be back right after this. $12:80 a.m. KYRO. Welcome back to the Q Now. Mark Bland. Our friend Moshe Kopolow is hanging out with us.
Right there.
Jason's best friend.
We are.
They are best friends. They have decided.
On the break, I was like, you know what?
We were brought together by Bobert.
Our love.
They were both together.
And her love of us.
All you guys out there.
Can we get Lauren Bobert on this show?
You know.
We could try.
Like on the show.
Can she sit next to me?
Physical show.
She could.
Or Jason?
I'll get up and reenact the play Beetlejuice. To set
I like
the
it.
mood.
All right. Let's switch the gears up a little bit here on this show, okay? We've been talking a lot of politics, but we like to talk a little pop culture and fun things here and there.
That is fun.
And we do like to do that. And I've got someone on social media recently asked, what is something odd you find attractive? That's right. There was a lot of responses, and many of them were more wholesome than naughty, like a Bobert.
I was going to say, I got the perfect answer.
Trashy chicks, man.
But here's some of the highlights.
Doesn't like that.
So let's see. Okay, what is something? Let's see. Before I even go down this list,
Yes.
and we'll judge. Let's just judge the list. Here we go.
All right.
Number 1, when men build fires and stuff, someone suggested that it triggers something primal in their brain, like the person can help me survive. So they find that attractive. So hey, listen, Moshe, are you single? I mean, I'm married. He's married. Are you single or married?
I'm divorced.
But are you single? You're single then?
I'm not.
Okay, whatever. My point being is these are things, something odd that people find attractive. Pay attention.
I can build a good fire.
You can build a good fire. That might make the girl feel that you're primal.
Ooh.
and help you survive.
Ooh,
Do you see what I'm
look at
saying?
You're a provider.
You can provide for Jason. You can help him.
Yeah.
You can provide
Like,
for him.
Moshe, you make
Moshe,
fire.
please make a fire and Bobert
Come
over
on,
here.
I'll pretend to be Bobert.
I'll Bobert over here. I will.
It's the apocalypse.
All right.
Moshe and I
All right, number 2.
boinking each other.
When somebody remembers a tiny detail about me, like my coffee order or an irrational fear of pigeons or something stupid like that.
Might be a little weird, right?
Now, I get that. Though.
Maybe
That-
somewhere I don't go very often. Would
Is
make it
there
even weirder.
something that your wife remembers about you that you
God.
appreciate, but that you appreciate? Like, there's
I
a
don't
couple
know.
of things. Like, okay, I'm
sure.
but in this vein, I'll tell you
okay,
this.
and that's okay. Yeah,
in this vein, I can tell you, like in my world, my wife knows I have affinity when we go to Walmart or a Target or anything. I like the light bulb aisle and I like the laundry detergent aisle.
No,
and the reason is,
yes.
I'll sit there and smell every single one of them to figure out which one I think is the best and I need to use, as if it matters. Right now, Moshe, you have dumb things you do every day in your life, and guess what? We don't complain about them. Now, I said this is something stupid. But my wife knows that.
You know
so
what?
she'll bring up my light bulb or laundry detergent affinity out of the blue if I do something in that vein.
You sniff the light bulbs too.
No, just you know what my big thing with them for many years has been? Sure. Literally for like 20 years.
Sure.
Watching the CFLs change to the LED, but
There you
then
go.
trying to figure out the wattage conversion.
George Bush did that.
Right? The 65 watt is now a 14 watt. And then a 75 watts, like a 16 and a half watt LED bulb, like those conversions and stuff. That's what the weird part was. It's just weird. I'm weird, dude. I'm sorry. Hold on, man. Come on now, bro.
That your wife knows where to find you at Walmart. That would be like my wife. If we went to a mall neither one of us have ever been in, and someone was like, "Hey, where's
Hot Topic.
Jason?" She would know, like, he's probably in. Is there a record store here? Is there a big bookstore?
Movie posters,
Is there a hot
things like
topic?
that.
Things
Yeah,
like that.
Suncoast type thing.
Like, oh yeah, like my parents, they would know where to find me if
Sure,
I got lost
that's fair.
in a mall.
And that's what I'm saying. Somebody might find that
in our
attractive.
mall, there's only like
so
9 stores.
little
That's pretty
things
easy.
about you.
People still go to
Moshe.
malls?
Moshe.
Well, this is when I was a kid.
Little things about
A long
you.
time ago.
Girls might remember them. It might make you find them attractive. You might be like, oh, I appreciate that about her. She remembered that little thing about me. You know,
That's standard. That's old romance,
remember
right?
that old
Remembering all the
thing.
little things about somebody shows you care. I'd say that's old school.
Number 3.
Some
Old
things
school,
are
still
hard
good.
to forget.
Still good.
When men or women actually read books in their free time.
That's nice.
They said that they think that's
You know
something
what?
odd.
How is
But
that
is that odd? Is that odd? Like,
That's
it's
not
reading
odd. That's-
books.
I want to know what that person's
Reading
like
is
life is
reading.
like that they think reading is odd.
Good
Remember
point. That's a good point.
Remember the classic Bill Hicks going to the country town and what you reading for?
Yeah.
not what are you reading for?
Now,
like
number
studying?
4.
Like,
Number
what are you
4.
reading for?
Number 4. I understand now that we live in a Trump voting America that
We do. It's true
voted
story.
for this guy a second time because this one says math skills. That's it. Just math skills. If you have math skills and the ability to count and add higher than just wood and lumber supplies, guys.
Yeah, nobody likes
I'm not
math.
talking about inches of pipe and stupid stuff like that. Like, I'm
Yeah.
talking about like real math skills. Like, let's sit down and see if you can do the Pythagorean theorem. Okay?
Yeah.
Let's see if you can.
squared plus
Because
B
you're
squared
talking a big game about how
equals
Donald
C
Trump
squared.
and all you are so smart. But I know for a fact that you can't pull off a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Like, and breaking it down for me, because I'll explain it to you. So tell me where your math skills are. And by the way, they find that odd ability attractive.
Ooh. You know,
That's what they do.
You know what makes no sense
You see
to
that?
me with,
See that?
with
Right
math
there.
class
They find it
all the way
attractive.
through elementary, secondary to college.
Yes.
Is the lack of letting you use formulas on a card or something to do these problems. Because here's the thing. When I graduate, if I'm an architect and I go and I start to develop, I don't just wing it. I'm using a card that has the formula, and I'm doing
Some
my
of my
math
teachers
just
allow
like that.
Some of my math teachers allow that. You're
Like,
allowed
to
one
be
page.
an engineer.
You're allowed
Yes.
one page. They gave you the key theorems. They said, go take your test.
Some do, but
Those I
most
like
don't.
more. Those I like more. Those are better.
Yeah, like, give me the formula. Don't make me remember it, because I'm not going to remember it when I go out into the workforce.
And you don't
Because if
need
I
to.
do,
And by the way, you
and
would
I
look it
ruin
up and
something,
write it
That's
down
what
anyway.
Excel is for.
Right.
Excel remembers every formula.
Now,
right? That's what you do.
number 5. This could be one of
Now,
yours.
remembering what to do in the formula, that's one thing. But
Yeah, exactly.
remember where the numbers
That's what
go.
I'm saying.
That's-
Give you a sheet with the
Yes.
numbers on it.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Now, number 5. People with good posture. Number 6.
Our posture's terrible.
Number 6. People with unique physical characteristics.
Ooh, like a
Unusual
tick?
nose. What?
Like a tick?
Oh, I thought you said
I
something
thought you were
else.
talking something very
I thought you
different.
were saying, like my
Like a big old,
like
a swinger.
Number 6, people with unique physical characteristics, like I said. Number 7, someone who has quick wit mixed with dark humor.
Ooh.
Those are the best people to converse with. So basically,
I've said some
Mark
dark
and
stuff.
Jason.
Yeah,
Literally, Mark and Jason. Now,
Like-
I don't know. Like, Moshe's got his own fair share of dark humor that he adds into our conversations.
Like-
I don't know where he's at on dark humor being his, like, primary focus. But for me, it's always been a focus. It's what made me successful in radio. It's what made Jason
I have
successful.
to
He got on
work
here.
hard to not be darker.
Okay, that's fair.
I am like on best behavior right
You
now.
should have hung out with us.
This
the
is
one
good
night.
behavior today for me.
Well, you can hang out with us after the show and tell us some dark humor. All right. Number 8, collarbones are underrated. One of the most beautiful parts of the form of the body. What?
Well, you know
I
what
don't
that
like
person
it.
likes. You know what that person likes. I'm just saying.
Collarbones?
I broke my collarbone when I was a kid. I
So
don't
did
like
my
it when
daughter.
people mess with it.
Hey, some people like it.
How many times are you going to bang this table and I tell you not to bang this
I don't
table?
know.
Like, this is
Banging it,
ridiculous.
15 more. I'm
This
banging
is,
it hard, man.
Told you.
It
to calm
is.
down.
Yeah, Bober.
Very,
You're
very
banging
hard.
it hard. You're doing a lot of banging over there, Bober.
I know how to use my
Right?
hand. Who do you think I learned to use my hands from?
How about this? How about number 9?
Hey,
How about number
Mommy,
9?
does the lady
No, no,
behind
no.
me have a napkin?
You can keep talking, but I got number 9 for you. You're going to love it. When someone gets really passionate about a niche topic that they love, right?
Ah.
Like,
Who
you-
actually likes that? Hold on.
10
Who
people.
actually likes that?
10
I'm going to
people
be
that they
honest with
found.
you. I'm going to be honest with you right now.
Lots of people.
Maybe you're right, Moshe, because to the majority of this world, the Ukraine is a niche topic.
Yeah, you might
To
be
a
right.
majority of this world, and I'm dead serious, and I hate to say this,
People you see on Twitter anyway.
the Gaza Strip stuff is a small conversation to the majority of people on this earth and this
I don't
planet.
disagree with anything you're saying.
Because there's billions on this planet, and we're talking hundreds of millions or less.
Well, there's people that don't have an interest either way.
And that's the thing. Like, sometimes I just
Apathy is
apathy is a problem.
It's running
apathy
wild.
is a
See,
problem.
when you say niche topic, I'm not even thinking something that big. I mean really niche. Like, do you know much about the Alekhines defense in chess? Because I could talk about that at length, and we could all go to bed. All right? That's when I say niche. I mean niche. Nobody wants to hear about that on a date. Okay? And if a girl does, she can probably kill me at chess.
Hey, you know, Moshe, you know, on our show, Jason,
We should do a practical jokers thing
No.
and all go on
No,
set up dates and
Jay.
see what weirdest thing we could say
Jay.
and keep the person there.
Jay,
But we have to think of it ourselves.
Jay, listen, I'm going to take a Moshe, and I'm going to move him into a boat with Monsieur Boston.
Ah, that'd be a good one.
And we're going to put him over into that boat. And you know what we do with Monsieur Boston every time he comes on? What do? We have to break him down because F them kids, right?
Yeah, he's likes to
always
cuss.
having.
You haven't cussed at all.
Hold on, F them
best
kids.
behavior, I told you.
F them
Yeah.
kids. He doesn't like white women anymore. Remember, he's only into
he's
black
off
women.
white women.
He's off
Yeah.
white women completely.
It was like
and
it
he
was
can't
like they're
figure out
pancakes or something.
why he doesn't have dates or can't get girls sometimes. And we have to help him figure
I
out
know.
his problems.
Poor
now,
guy.
It's never been easier to date.
now,
Really.
There's lots of places to look.
Never been easier.
Moshe is probably getting tons of dates. That's
Nice.
what he just said. He doesn't have any problem getting women. Any women out there that are thinking about Moshe as an option, he's
Do
got
it.
enough. He doesn't need you or your
he
help.
does.
Just
I'm
stay
good.
back.
I'm good.
He's fine.
No,
He's
it's
good.
funny. No,
Now-
actually, no. What's funny?
With that being
on
said,
this, on this.
hold on. Let me finish my point. Let me finish my point. With that being said, I think we're going to have to help Moshe out.
Okay.
I think
Let's do
that I'm going to start with that topic that he just brought there. That's what put him in that boat. If you even know about a specific chess theory or move set that you can bring up in conversation and speak about it in like normal terms, like it's cool, like a niche way, that's answering all the questions we need to know about Moshe's sex life right there. And just like Marcus,
There's worse
his
things.
problem is that stuff right there. Don't talk about that. That is worthless. She ran away from you for
You
that.
don't say that. It's not-
There's
I'm just
worse
saying.
things you could say on a first date.
No,
You could
or
sit
worse
down and be
things
like,
you could say.
Hey, have you ever had an infection?
Well, of course you could say things like that.
She's like, what?
Obviously.
like a real bad
But
one.
no, seriously. So I got married months before Tinder became a thing, so I never knew
Okay,
about it,
nice.
right? And I got divorced a decade later, right?
Okay.
And the dating world had changed. And frankly, what I've discovered is that it's never been easier to go on your first date. Getting to a date's weirder because you have these apps are funny, but everyone thinks that's the dating now.
Like that.
That's not dating. It's
dating's
actually
when you
easier.
actually get there.
Correct. Because dating's when you get there. It turns out that because I'm used to like talking to somebody, listening to what they have to say, meeting them, I find this easy. I want to talk to a person, and when I go on a date with a woman, she's so thrilled that I can do the very, very basic bottom lowest bar possible of, hey, I heard what you had to say. I listened to you.
Right.
I said something relevant, and I showed that we're having a real conversation. All of a sudden, I'm like Don Juan. I am not that. I didn't used to be this amazing, right? But all of a sudden, women appreciate this more.
Amazing.
I didn't get any better. It's just that the competition got worse. It's like, guys, go talk and say hi and be nice and actually listen to what she's saying, and voila, you get like the greatest date ever because they're just not used to it anymore.
Then after he does all that for her, he gets up and leaves to go to the bathroom and leaves his phone open to like a picture of his dong.
Oh, Jesus. Why would you bring that up? Where did that come from?
First off, why is that a thing?
That's
a real thing. I'm actually totally against why all these pictures of this a thing. Men got to stop doing this. Men have to get rid of the pics of that.
Everybody's yelling. Listen, I love you all.
Gotta go.
I love you all.
Gotta go. All of them gotta go. It's the grossest thing ever.
Wait till I tell you the story.
Okay. All right. I had to take him. I had to shut it down. I love him to death. That's the second. I love them. I love these guys to death. But I have to shut them down because they're just going to keep yelling over each other. And ladies and gentlemen, that's horrible radio. That's not something that's fun to listen to on Twitter Spaces or on an FCC Gateway Fiber studio like this. It's just not. It's just not fun to listen to. Now, I love Moshe and I love Jason dearly, and they are a new boyfriend set that I'm.
So does Lauren Boebert.
And Lauren Boebert, she loves them too.
That's our
she loves
God.
them too. Let me finish off this quick list before we get out of here on this show. When someone is fascinated by me enjoying things, genuine curiosity and engagement in weird little hobbies and interests I have, that goes back to what Moshe just said about being interested in hearing what other people had to say and talking to them about things that they have that they're interested in. Simple as that.
That's something they like?
Yep.
Okay,
That's what they find attractive.
Conversation.
Why wouldn't
They
you
find
like that, right?
attractive.
Yeah, of course.
All right. Now, all right. That's the end of that list. Now, with that being said, it's going to be time for us to get out of here in a little bit on the show. But before we get out of here, Moshe, I want to say thank you so much for being on our show today.
For having me.
I really appreciate you coming and talking about Ukraine, talking about Israel, talking about Trump, talking about all this fun with us and all the craziness. I really do appreciate that. It's a little early for that. We're not ready to roll out quite yet.
No.
Jay, you can stop that up a little bit. But Moshe, with like a minute left for you, is there anything you'd like to say to the people out there? Anything on the top of your mind you want to just say to the people? Just wrap it up, nice little 35, 40-second little spiel.
Yeah. For our friends who are big Trump supporters, your guys in office, we really need you now to help keep the Trump loyal people he's going to put in the cabinet. Be people who aren't crazy. Be people who aren't the head of Health and Human Services claiming that drinking water will cause your kids to be gay, which Robert F. Kennedy has said. So please, for our Republican friends out there, please push back against the craziness on your side. We heard that was a problem you had with the left. Heard you loud and clear. Please help us do the same.
On this show, we push back. We push back against people on the Democratic side that we thought were too much.
We pushed back against Cory Bush. We pushed back against a few different individuals who were up for election. We even pushed back against Lucas Kuntz. We were never. Hey, I'll say it right here. We were never against Lucas Kuntz, and if he won, that's fine. But at the same point, it's like we were seeing. Kind of like that pulling back. We could see the bigger picture.
And with her, I mean, it was more you weren't helping, like you weren't doing your job. You were making things worse by the things you were saying. It wasn't that we hated you and we didn't like what you were saying. You couldn't pick your time.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? There were a lot of people even in this last election that couldn't put their little pet project aside to focus on what was ahead of us. And now we're all screwed. Like their projects are gone too.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to get out of here on this episode of the Qnow. We want to thank Moshe Kopolow for being our guest today. Thank you so much, Moshe. Thank you, Jason Call, for being on the show today as well. And ladies and gentlemen, you can find us at theqnow.com. Old episodes, new episodes, and everything in between. Plus, every Thursday night right here live on the air. Join us 7 to 9 p.m. News Radio, KYRO.com. That's going to do it for us. We'll see you guys next time on the show.